welcome. So today we're going to be talking about JetBlue Travel Products and Rangle.io and about pragmatic innovation. There's been a lot of talk about innovation. There's a lot of innovation frameworks, but ultimately innovation occurs when you actually do the work, when you execute, and when you build something. And this is a great example of a partnership that has taken an idea and turned it into something concrete. So how JetBlue Travel Products capitalize on new market opportunities with an outcome-oriented innovation approach, launching a subsidiary and leveraging partnerships. So speaking today is Andres Berry, and President JetBlue Travel Products, and myself, the CEO of Rangle.io. We are an innovation and delivery consultancy focused on customer experience. And with that, I will turn it over to Andres.
Thank you, Nick. Good morning. So I lead JetBlue Travel Products subsidiary. And for those of you who are not familiar with what that is, about a year ago, JetBlue's CEO asked me to build a new company under JetBlue. And the idea is we've done great delivering wonderful customer service and building a business in airlines. We should be doing that across all of travel. And that was about the degree of our mandate. A little bit of where we focus. We sell vacation packages, where many of you have probably seen. We sell a lot of the same products across travel that you see many other airlines around car rental, insurance, hotels. We're taking a lot of steps there to make this the easiest place where customers are going to get a great deal, and more of that will come later. But we also took some products that were outside of JetBlue's core and said, what are other places where we can win in travel? Where's there places where we see pain points that nobody's solving, where JetBlue's history of service can come in and deliver a differentiated travel experience? We have some pretty aggressive growth goals around a lot of these products, and one of them specifically that I want to talk to you today is Tribe, which is starting to see some traction, is in market already. What is Tribe? Have any of you taken a trip where you're trying to get either 6 or 7 friends or 4 or 5 families to go together somewhere on a particular time? Please. All right. And I'm going to guess the experience of planning that trip was not the most fun thing that you've done over the last 12 months. And we've noticed this over and over again. Every time we talk to a group of people, we realize there's a big market here, and it's a series of spreadsheets and emails and chats and all sorts of things. And then what we really found is that the most likely outcome is the trip never happens because just nobody wants to deal with being the planner. So we've set out to build Tribe, which is a solution to do that. And we'll go into what the product actually does. It's an all-in-one platform. It supports planning. I think the demo will do it a bit more justice. But one of the key decisions that we had to make is we as JetBlue are going to build a new product that is not tied to selling flights necessarily. How do we do that as a big company that's focused on running an airline? And this is where our partnership with our friends at Rangle came in. Because we needed a team who could stand up quickly, who could help us innovate, and who could actually help us deliver a product in market. And I think it's been 4 or 5 months, and we have a product that's in market that can take revenue, and we'll show in a little bit. But before we show the product, I'll let Nick talk a little bit more about Rangle.
Thank you. So, we searched for a term to describe the collaboration and the work that we've been doing, and pragmatic innovation was the one that seemed to fit best because there's something about going into market, actually learning. There's the concept of lean startup, how startups work, and how innovation works. There's a certain amount of learning and feedback and pragmatism that's required, rolling up your sleeves and actually getting the work done. Innovation's about finding achievable business value, and sometimes you can design your way to a great customer experience, but other times you can't because you don't know exactly what the product market fit, what problem. There's a problem, there's a need, but it's a complex market. So you want to incrementally build and learn and deal with more complexity. And that's where a pragmatic innovation and delivery approach comes in. So, out of this, we looked at, what were the 3 things, if, there's a dozen things that you could really talk about, but what are the 3 things that really drive pragmatic innovation and have allowed us to partner and execute in building Tribe? So I call them the 3 upside-down laws of innovation because these are the things that are somewhat counterintuitive historically and require a real focus and commitment for them to work out well. So first off, quality creates speed. Historically, the project management triangle, cost, schedule, and quality was maintained that if you wanted lower cost or faster time to market, you could sacrifice quality. That's been proven to not really be true at all. As you start building and you start evolving and you start adapting, if you don't have quality built into your product and into your infrastructure, you're not going to be able to adapt. You're not going to be able to change, and you're actually going to start going slower and slower and slower because the complexity of everything is going to slow you down. So quality creates speed. And this is really hard in traditional practices because there are so many other things that are important, like time to market. But if you compromise on quality, which is often not the most visible thing, then you start seeing the long-term effects and your innovation's compromised. The other one, delivery drives innovation. If you really want to innovate, you've got to be obsessed with the problem, obsessed with the customer, and the real innovation happens when you're in market. You can figure out a fair bit by talking to people beforehand, doing interviews, doing market research, but real profound innovation comes when you're actually interacting with the market and people live and running experiments. So innovation, there's innovation that's sort of the upfront creativity, but then there's the actual innovation in creating business value, which is very pragmatic and very incremental and requires that integration that comes out of delivery. So you don't innovate and then deliver it. You innovate and then you continue to innovate while you deliver. And the most important innovation comes when you're actually in market. And then finally, learning beats planning. And this is scary because planning is how we typically mitigate risk. But when we're trying to innovate and we're trying to solve a complex problem, if we're following a plan, if we're following a schedule, then all of a sudden we stop learning, we stop obsessing about the outcome, we stop innovating. And you need to be able to balance the two. So planning's super important. You need timelines, you need milestones, but ultimately the learning and the insights generated through delivery allows you to pivot and evolve on top of your quality platform. And so those three things are the ones that are most often a challenge. And how do you get there? And that's the pragmatic innovation concept. So the pragmatic solution to achieving these three innovation goals is cross-functional teams and teams that really are immersed in the mission. And this can't be overstated. People have to be waking up every morning wondering about the customer, curious about the customer, curious about the best solution. They have to be cross-functional because the insights come from many directions. The technology insight may allow for a drastic reduction in cost of usability of a certain user experience. And that's huge because we're focused on business value and learning. The team has to be capable at speed. So delivery creates innovation, but speed is based upon quality. So you need to be able to constantly deliver while maintaining quality. That's a certain type of team. And then finally, you need a team that's rarely blocked. And this is particularly difficult in large companies because everyone has so many things that they have to do. So having a team that's focused on less, that's focused on the innovation project and can completely obsess on it. And with that, let's jump to the exciting bit, introducing Project Tribe. Why don't I pass it back to you?
Absolutely. Yeah, so this, we can talk a lot about innovation. I think where I'm excited is we actually have something to show. And I think I mentioned we started a lot of these conversations in May, and we have a product that is in market right now. You won't see a lot of big marketing for a couple of months until we work out a few more things, but the product is there and it's functional, and I think it's a lot of the principles that Nick was describing that got us here. So specific to Tribe, we want to create a platform that is designed for small groups of 3 to 8 people to plan and book their travel together. And we think we can make this fun and seamless and actually encourage more travel. This is where we created, and we have a joint team. I think I mentioned this, as much as JetBlue I think is on the front foot of innovation in terms of the travel space, we're still a $7 billion company. We have real constraints. We're still trying to run an airline. And so the idea of bringing some help from the outside, a team that can be stood up quickly, can focus just on that mission and not worry about flight delays and snowstorms and things like that was pretty critical. And I think having a joint team where we're working essentially as one team together has been a big part of the success. So what does it look like from a team perspective, right? So mission-centric approach. And this is where we're very focused on what we're trying to do. There's 1,000 other things we could do, but we're very focused on winning this particular space. And everybody is. Rapid iteration. We push code into production every week. So every week we get together, we see what's going on, we look at user testing, we push new code into production, we bring new customers in, and we keep learning. And this has been the cycle that has gotten us here. The product today doesn't look what we designed 4 months ago. It's much better because we've actually been iterating every week. Quality, I think this is critical, but everybody's committed to making sure this works. And I think this is Nick's main point. We're not spending a lot of time going back and redoing the work that we didn't quite do right the first time. The team's taking the effort to actually do things correctly to begin with. And then real-time collaboration delivery. I think even though we have some JetBlue team members on the team and some Rangle team members, we operate as one team. The teams are connecting every single day. We have used both travel and modern technology to make sure that we're working together. But this has been part of the mission, right? You have a group of people who are committed to making this happen and making it happen together. And then this is the most important piece, the relentless focus on value creation, because features all take time to build. We have to make trade-offs, and it's about focusing on what is it that's gonna move the needle, what's gonna matter to customers, and this, again, with a rapid iteration matters, and so you'll see some of the features that we start putting together and some of the things that'll come later. And then learning and measurement. We start every meeting once a week with a dashboard that says how many people came in through the flow, booking flow, where are they getting caught up, what type of marketing are we doing, how are we targeting people, and then learning from there. We don't just start with a whiteboard and say what ideas can we come up with. We start by looking at what is the problem that we're trying to solve, what is the direction we want these metrics to move in, and then let's go solve individual problems. And we do that, like I said, on a week-to-week basis. Cross-functional problem solving, I think this one speaks for itself. Obviously we have a team of people who do marketing and back-end development, front-end development, and then capability at speed, which I think is what came up again. Again, we'll show you the product. I don't want to overhype it because we're still getting ready for the big launch. But the fact that between May and now, we've gotten to a point where there's an active website that can book travel in new ways, and that was pushed out there by a major corporation in partnership with Rangle, I think is pretty impressive. Required capacity not to be blocked. This is important as well. We have a team that's dedicated. They don't have to, they're not part of the day-to-day of a lot of the rest of the operations that we're doing, and I think this is quite important. And then from a product perspective, what we achieved in 4 months, and maybe we can move into the demo at this point. So this is a live demo. I know it's always risky to do that. We'll go one step further on the risk. If anybody want to follow along, this is active URL. It's tribegrouptravel.com. So you're welcome to, this is an active platform. You could actually book travel on it if you're thinking about going on a trip with friends. This may be a good time to pull it out and introduce them to them. But it's a simple platform that simply starts by, the belief is that there's always one planner in the group, and that planner takes their job very seriously, and that everybody else just wants to be minimal effort. And so what we do is we say, okay, some of the hardest decisions, people need to figure out where are we going, who's coming, and when are we going. So the way the platform is built is we start by saying, okay, where do I want to go? This is my trip. So I'm saying, hey, you know what? I'm going with the Rangle team here. After the Gartner conference, we're going to go on a reunion together. So I start saying, where do I want to go? Because I'm the planner, so I get to pick. But I do want their input a little bit. So I can start saying, well, you know what? Maybe I want to go to Miami, maybe Vegas, maybe LA. Let's look around some warm places to go from there. And I just want to get their input. But those are the places that I'd be happy going to. And then the dates. Well, I feel like we need to go on a weekend, and it can't be around the holidays. But so I'd say, you know what? Maybe we do Thursday to Sunday that first weekend. I can go Thursday to Sunday the following weekend. I know Thanksgiving is somewhere in there for some of us, but maybe we go in December. But we do something relatively soon. And I have a couple of dates as options. So now I've actually created a trip. And we'll skip this step here, but I can actually now send the team a link that says, and I can either text it to them, WhatsApp it to them, email it to them, et cetera. But you can see I've sent it to them. There's a simple share function. I've sent it to them, and they're all now into my trip. So now what they can do is, through simple communication, they can actually vote, and they can tell me, oh, this is where I want to go, and this is where this is when I want to go. And so they'll do that now, and you can actually see Miami got a couple votes already. I can actually hover, and I know who can go, because as much as I like them all, they're not equally all important to my trip. And so I may say, well, you know what? It's unfortunate that somebody can't go to Miami, but we're going anyways because the people are important, and that's where I want to go. But at least I've gotten their input in a constructive way. And so I get votes on destination. I think you guys also need to vote on the dates that work for you. And this is part of the process. This is a huge friction point, is how do we even decide where we're going and when we're going? We've made that part easy. But this is only the first step, right? I mean, that alone isn't gonna get us a product. But I can now decide as a planner, I can say, you know what? It looks like we have some consensus on Miami, so I lock that in. It looks like we have some consensus on November 14th to 17th. And now my trip planning starts. And so I actually now have a recommendation engine that's already looked in Miami for the dates that I've selected. It's already starting to give me hotels. I can search for additional hotels. I can look around. I can actually book. It's got all the capabilities that you want from an online travel agency. But let's say I want to go to this hotel. I can actually go ahead and book it. I'm not going to right now because I don't want to put that on my credit card or enter my credit card in front of the whole room. But I can book the hotels. We have flight features. And then the whole trip gets captured in here. And so, as I mentioned at the beginning, this is something that we started a couple months ago. There's, as much as a very simple interface, which was our goal, you can imagine there's a lot of technology innovation behind on how do you get to vote real time, how this gets to communicate, et cetera. And we've gotten tremendous customer feedback so far in terms of people we've put through it, in terms of, yes, this solves a pain point and people feeling like we're meeting their needs. But most importantly, we have the ability to innovate and push new features on a weekly basis. There's a couple more features that we're gonna add between now and the end of the year. And then you probably start seeing this a little bit more, getting a bit more press and tied to JetBlue once it's ready. But it is a usable platform as it is right now. You're welcome to plan your next group trip on it if you're interested in. Like I said, you can add flights, you can add accommodation, it's got all the features. But something that we're very excited, and we think there's tremendous potential and something that's gonna be an entire business unit on its own.
All right. That was for real, right? We're
Yeah.
actually going. Just want to make sure.
Yes. That's not a, that is an actual.
I'm really excited now.
Yeah. So. On this trip, yeah, Miami.
All right.
Let's do it.
So it's a pretty remarkable outcome, and you know, one of the exciting things is about how smooth the whole process has been because of a lot of fairly simple decisions ultimately in putting together the right team with the right focus that everyone can really sort of obsess about creating this new platform. And when something's new and new and innovative, it's not easy. It's not done already. So it's a new idea, which requires that kind of engagement. So we talked through quality creates speed. This is probably the most interesting and difficult thing to accomplish because it's so easy to forget about this, and it's so hard to see the impact of low quality or medium quality 6 months down the road, 7 months down the road. Delivery drives innovation. This product is in market now after 5 months. Everyone here can try it out. There can be feedback, gathering analytics, and learning beats planning. So having a dedicated team that's waking up every morning thinking just about this and how to make this successful and collaborating and bringing all of their capabilities to bear creates an incredible sort of outcome for innovation and for actually creating a solution that didn't exist before. So traditionally, when companies look at innovation, they create an innovation lab, or they create an innovation process. But being able to address the core sort of activities that are required, the core culture and the core communication and focus capabilities, these are often sort of left behind. An innovation framework goes through all of this sort of thinking, and then it's like, we'll just build it and launch it, or put a team together that focuses on it. But the actual sort of core things that are going to really move the needle are often lost. So that's the talk. We want to leave some time for questions and answers. You can also reach out, go to the Gartner URL on the Rangle site to learn some more. But I'd like to turn it to the audience and answer any questions anyone might have.
how is this process different from Agile development in general? I feel that a lot of this includes the Agile, concepts. How is it different really from Agile?
Yeah, thank you. So, Rangle is a agile-only company, and we have been since our founding 6.5 years ago. And what we've learned is that agile is typically trapped in development, and it doesn't embrace the business. And you'll see a lot of talk here. I've heard the term business ops or biz ops a lot at the conference. So we've gone from DevOps to design ops to security ops and reg ops and biz ops. But how do you sort of get everyone together, focus on the problem, and align around business value? So traditionally, that's a hard term to define because you're going after product market fit, you're going after usability, you're going after efficient building of solutions. But Agile has often been untethered from business value. So this is different in that it embraces the entire sort of life cycle and it's built around business value. It also has everybody that's relevant at the table. So there's no handoffs. You're involved on a weekly basis, providing leadership from a business perspective. Blockers are removed quickly. And in 6.5 years at Rangle, we've worked with probably 300 different companies, and we've rarely seen Agile escape the IT organization. And it's only in the last couple of years that's really started to gain momentum in the industry, and I think this is a great example of that.
Can you talk a little bit about the collaboration and whether you had a history or how did you build the trust and what are the issues that you encountered, if any?
Yeah, so there was a history between Rangle and JetBlue. So when JetBlue.com was redesigned a couple of years ago, Rangle played a part in that. And so there was a history there. And this was different though, right? Because this is building a whole new product from scratch. But I think having had that experience was a huge influence in going to choosing to partner with Rangle. The model is, we really are one big team, and I know that that's cliche to say, but we do. We have 3 or 4 people. I think you guys have a little bit more than that. But the team works as one team. We're all essentially working for Tribe at this point, and we just happen to our payroll happens to come from different places. But I do the piece that was most important to me, and I laid this out at the beginning, is I had a vision for this product, and I wanted their help delivering on that vision, not them to come up and tell me what a different vision would be. Now that's very different from. I still get a lot of the input from the team because we're talking about individual features and what should we do next and our prioritize. And those are very healthy debates. But I've felt that I've been able to drive this product into what I want it to be, and actually have a team that's helping me do that.
And just to add to that, Wrangle's core business model is a partnership-based model with our clients based upon a continuous delivery vision and view of the system. So everything we do with every client is always based upon a sort of a continuous delivery partnership with joint teams, and we've evolved all of our practices to be that extension of our clients as opposed to be the firm that sort of says we know more or we're consulting in or we're taking the project away. We want to integrate deeply and seamlessly and be an extension of our clients because they know their business, they have their vision, and we're never going to know as much as they do. But by being able to deliver fast and quickly to market, we can create a joint team that can really understand the problem and collaborate.
I just like to say I think this is a great project because I am that planner in our family and friends situation. So I was wondering if you were accepting ideas because I plan
Always.
for world marathons, the major marathons. So try planning for a family of 9 when 50,000 other of your closest friends and runners are going to show up in a city. And I also have a whole bunch of friends that we get together once a year, and we now live across the United States because we're all consultants. So I really want this to be successful because personally I think this would make my life. And I would love to give you some use cases to see if you could run it through your system.
Would love to. And look, the product is live. The URL is tribegrouptravel.com.
I Googled it. I was following along.
But yeah, no, we love input. I'd love to catch up afterwards. And then obviously for anybody who uses it later or has friends who use it, we actively request input on the site. And that's where A lot of the prioritization has come from that, right? We have a vision of what the product needs to do, but we review every single customer comment, and we look at how people are using the product every week, just to then drive our priorities of how we go forward. So thank you. I think there was one back there in the green or blue.
I tried also Googling it as I was watching the demo. There are several things that come up from the spot, so you probably want to look at your Google search engine just to on what you're providing to make sure you come up higher. Also, from a flight perspective, and I think the earlier gentleman asked the question, is this just for JetBlue, or are you partnering with other search engines to get additional flight recommendations?
Yeah, so the intent and a lot of my team in general, so this is one of about 4 or 5 businesses that my team is building. And the intent is we want to leverage everything that's great about JetBlue, but be allowed to grow beyond JetBlue, which as much as I think we're a great airline, but then very relevant in certain markets, there's a lot of markets where we're just not as relevant. And so this, among a couple of things that we're gonna launch in the next 18 months, are intended to be open for all travelers. Right now, it doesn't have booking capability. You can book your flight and then enter what it is, and then your friends know about it. Those are some of the strategic choices that we make in terms of effort required to do things, usability from customers and whatnot. But so right now, we don't even sell flights on it yet, which is ironic that an airline's selling hotels but not flights. But this is part of why we're operating a little bit different on this. Over time, we'll sell flights, and we'll probably have a deeper partnership with JetBlue, but always keep it open to other sources until people tell us we can't sell their flights.
Have you considered an AI engine to come up with recommendations? So if you have like 10 people traveling, here's the cheapest places to fly, here's some of the recommendations.
Yep, absolutely, yeah, and that's where our main goal right now is to just get the product to where it's usable. The next couple steps are around adding things more than hotels, so activities and things like that. Once we actually see people use the product, we're collecting all that data in a way that will allow us to build that engine. But the first step is we actually need to make all that product available, which is our goal right now. Once we feel like we have all the product available, we haven't even done a soft launch at this point. You're some of the first people to even hear that this is going on. At some point, we'll put some real marketing. Your comment around not being even on search results, yes, indeed. But right now, honestly, we're trying to be a little bit stealth and get feedback, so when we're ready to go big, we'll have something that's ready for prime time. And I think that right now there's just a few more features we want to add before kind of the big launch.
So just one last suggestion. To the earlier comment about the marathon planner, there's also other opportunities like events such as weddings and some of those other things. So this could have a lot of opportunities there.
We're excited about the potential. So, and this is why but one of the discussions that we had is how do we build this quickly? Because we think there's a gap here, and we think if we don't build it, somebody else will. And so if we were to go on a 2 or 3 year journey to build this product, we're gonna be late to market. And this is why it's important for us to get something quickly, build the basics, see how people use it, and then spend the next 2 or 3 years innovating around use cases. So I appreciate the support and feedback.
Well, we got 53 seconds left if there's any more questions.
You got one more?
I'm just wondering from a business perspective, if this is initiated by JetBlue, how does JetBlue stand to benefit business-wise if this is open to all other engines?
Yeah, so there's, it's a traditional commission model like any other online travel agency, right? So anytime somebody books through us, they add a hotel, they add an activity, they add any other type of product, the economics are very similar to an online travel. And we have a history of doing that. Our JetBlue Vacations product, where you bundle air and hotel, we sell the air, but we also share some of the revenue with our hotel partners. And that's what got us started. The economics of that, when you think about the economics of an airline and buying airplanes, being very capital intensive, being able to generate some additional revenue without having to shell out $50 million at a time is a nice alternative. And so that's what started even my team existing, and then saying, what are the places where we think we can win? And JetBlue's history is you take a market that nobody really likes a solution, but people have lived with it, and then you create a better product with better value, and you win. Now, we've done that with airlines repeatedly, and innovated several times. Now we're trying to do that outside of airlines into the rest of travel. But the model is very similar to what an online travel agency would look like, and their economics are quite attractive compared to other industries.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming. That's time. And if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out through the URL and through email, and I'll forward any questions on to JetBlue Travel Products.
Thank you.